Welcome back to the podcast, guys. We have a little bit of a different background for me. Chris is in his same normal silly spot, but I'm in an Airbnb right now.
Dumb.
It's dumb that I'm in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
It is kind of dumb, but no, it's a what I'm staying in. I'm on a farm, and there's a farmhouse basically that I'm staying in, and the owners actually live on the farm too. They're actually retired farmers, so they started renting out this farmhouse to whoever on Airbnb. So that's where I'm at. I'm set up to do a 3 day Sika deer hunt for muzzleloader. Same trip me and you took last year. Except last year we stayed in a hotel, but um, so that's why I'm here. I'm not going to say where I'm hunting at, nothing
In the
like that,
woods.
but in the woods.
In the woods.
Um, yep, but I'm hoping I got 3 days of long, brutal sits. Um, so I'm hoping within one of those 3 days here that I can finally score a Sika stag. Finally, hopefully.
Hopefully.
If if not, it's all your
If not,
fault.
if not, we got to hear about it again for another year.
You will. You will hear me cry for another year that I did not get another Sika stag.
Oh my.
And if I don't get one, it's all your fault because you shot the only one last year.
Probably did.
And it's
No,
going to be
I seen a 4 point.
yeah, and it's going to
And
be cold in the morning.
yeah, I'm afraid it will be.
We're looking at not cold, but for this time of year, we're looking at 40 degrees in the morning.
Right.
60 as a high, and that's supposed to be like that the rest of the week. So the only downfall is tomorrow. Um, there's like 15 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour winds.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so you're gonna have that wind's coming through there, but
That's a
oh,
lot for especially down there coming off that frag, off that water.
yeah. So I got enough. Hopefully, I got enough clothes. I didn't bring heavy stuff, but I did bring.
Mosquitoes won't be able to land on you.
So what's funny is I was out. I got here around 5. I got set up, and I was outside. I bought a bike rack that plugs into my hitch.
Okay, yeah.
Then it's got an arm that sticks out, so I can hang my bike on there.
Right, right.
Just to make it easier because you know how it is getting in the parking lot, rush, and
Right.
so I bought that, and I was outside just setting it up. Within seconds, I was annihilated by mosquitoes.
Really?
Oh yeah, and
What
then
temperature
now
is it there?
it's probably about 50.
Hmm.
But down here, there's mosquitoes all year round. But I had the door open. I was going in and out loading stuff in. Now the freaking now I got mosquitoes inside.
Nice.
Kill you.
You
But
never learn. Never learn.
no, I know. So I got my thermocell. I'm all juiced up with that. I got plenty of pads and butane. Um, I got lunch ready. I got to make some coffee in the morning, and I'm heading out. So I'll update everybody on the next podcast we record next week. I'll let everybody know how we did. But on this podcast, wish me some luck. I know there's a lot of guys that listen, and all that. Actually, no, there's no point in wishing me good luck because by the time this
You'll
podcast
be
airs,
over.
I'll be over. Well, never mind then.
Watch out for Dave's blackened eyes. Since he's
Yes,
not a local, they're gonna beat him up.
I know, but I am a resident of the state. I'm just
Yes, you
not.
didn't have to pay the extra 200.
No, and it's funny. Zach's on his way here, and he listens to the podcast. I didn't even know it was $200, and I was telling you when we started this that Zach had to pay $200 for a tag. I didn't know that,
Wow.
so that's rough. But
Yeah.
I googled it, and it said that they changed it this year for non-residents. Did
Right.
you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that
So it's your
because
fault.
I didn't know if I was gonna go this year or not, and then I decided not to. But I I saw the documentation on that, and yeah, I wasn't real pleased about it myself.
Well,
Because now your tag, like your an out of state resident tag, like doubles now. I mean,
yeah,
for me,
in
like it
right,
cost me last year. It was like $200. Now it's going to be like $400
right, which I
for
get it.
non-residents.
I get it. But in reality, it's priced competitively with other states.
Yeah,
So
competitively it is.
when I used to go to Kentucky, it cost me about $400. And in Kentucky, you're only allowed $1. So when you buy that tag from Maryland, you're automatically gifted 2 buck tags and unlimited doe tags.
Hmm.
Yes, it sucks. You got to spend the $200 for the Sika tag, but you're still at that $400 mark. So you could kill a Sika stag, a buck, and then 2 whitetails. So, I mean, if you're not into Sika hunting, then
And
I mean,
unlimited does.
and unlimited does. So, if you're an out of state hunter trying to hunt Maryland, um, that's what you get. But if you're not into Sika hunting, then just don't buy the Sika tag, and you're at what 180, I think it is for the
It was. I think it
um,
cut out the door. It was like $210 or something,
right, because
something like that.
you got to buy a bow stamp, which is like $10 or $15 or something.
Yeah, there was
Um,
bow, there was muzzle loader, there was Sika.
right, right,
Yeah, there was all kind of different tags.
right. For myself, a Sika stamp is still $10.
Yeah,
And that's what I think your tag last year, because you were a non-resident, it was only like $20.
yeah, it was
But
cheap.
now, yeah, so now they raised it to 200, which I assume it's it's one of two reasons or both. Is one, all the guys locally are complaining, from all the
That
non-residents.
that was mainly it.
Yeah,
But they
and
also
the
seen it as revenue
yes,
to
that
do
was
other
my second.
things.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was my second. Cause of they just want the revenue for it
yeah, and
because it.
I still don't think uh I still don't think it's awful. I mean, you're not getting that much meat or anything. It's more nostalgic than anything, you know.
Well, yeah, it's a. Uh,
It's a what's that word?
I guess you'd call it exotic.
Exotic. It's an
Um,
exotic for Maryland, is what it is.
right. I mean, they're only in this little area here. I mean,
Yeah,
they're spaced out a couple
and you're gonna
counties
pay
here and there.
$200 to get it. I don't think that's terrible.
Yeah, I mean they're fun to hunt. They bugle. They sound like elk. It's just one of them things, whether you want to do it or not. I mean, you don't have to do it. Um, Actually, stay out. Don't do it. That way, there's less people here. But no, I'm just joking. But yeah, it's just if it's one of them things where you want to do once in a lifetime thing, they're cool. They're fun to hunt. But hey, these 3-day muzzleloader, man, they get hammered hard with locals, non-residents,
Yeah,
Pennsylvania guys.
the first day anyhow.
Yeah, and these locals down here, man, they're very territorial about these things, and they give non-residents, PA guys a hard time. Um, but hey, that's I don't have a problem with it. If I was a local down here and and I was hunting public land or something, and I had a bunch of non-residents, I mean, I I mean, it is what it is. I'd be like, oh man, these things are,
Yeah,
there
but
a
they
lot of people are
pay.
right. They pay, so it would be no different than me going to PA to hunt or
Yeah,
Kentucky or there's lots of people now that come from PA just to hunt Maryland whitetails. You know, so it is what it is. The people that get upset about it, I find humor in it. It's like
I,
there's other things to be upset about.
yeah. I mean,
So
around here where I hunt, there's a lot of guys that come down from New York, and believe it or
right,
not, you see a handful of people from Vermont coming down. I don't know why.
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. That's pretty far.
Right.
But yeah, that's what you see the
No.
most of. Vermont and New York tags. If you see out of state tags, some
Right.
Ohio's, but so
Well,
anyhow,
whatever. Yeah. So that's out. That's what I'm doing. So I wanted to get that out the way. Second part of this is, we're going to talk about scrapes this time of year. Chris has been bow hunting a lot lately here in PA. Once this sickest hunt's over, I'll be getting back to whitetails. I got a bunch of days off. Um, so uh, I got, you know, I'll be hunting the first week of November
mm,
for Halloween time. I got a lot of time here coming up. So I'll be bow hunting whitetails. And one of those, keys is going to be scrapes, you know. Scrapes are popping up. I have cameras out, and the bucks are checking the scrapes now. In the
yep,
past, especially like the past 3 days, because we've had this cold front.
yeah,
Um, so with you bow hunting here, have you actually seen scrapes in PA where you're at, or are
yeah.
they make? Have you seen any make scrapes?
I've got some of my cameras set up on some of my mock scrapes, and
Yep.
I've got some video of a couple of them working a scrape. So yeah, they're starting to paw at it a little bit.
Hmm.
They're really working the overhead branches though right now.
That's what
Heavy.
I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're working the overhead branches real hard right now. They're not so much pawing the ground.
Yeah.
Uh, they will. It's coming. Give them about 2 weeks, and you're going to see them pop up everywhere. But
Oh yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised at one of my spots that I put a mock scrape in that they started hitting really good. Getting a lot of pictures on it, and I went in to hunt it last Saturday morning there, and like I said, pleasantly surprised. They made a monster scrape within like 50, 60 yards of where I am and
Hmm.
where I made that other scrape. So now they're hitting all those scrapes. It's on a bend in a gas road, and so they walk down the gas road. They hit the scrape that they made, and then they come around the bend and hit the mock scrape I made. And we may have made mention of it on the last podcast. I don't remember, but when I hunted that stand on Saturday morning, that one buck he read the script, came right in and worked the scrape in front of me, but it was one of the smaller scrubs, and it was just like 10 minutes before light, so I couldn't really make him out real well. But he came in, was working the overhead branch, pawed the ground a little bit. My camera caught a picture of him, and I pulled the card on the way out, and it was just one of the scrubs in the area.
Hmm.
But I put a camera on that scrape that they made, and I went back a few days later and had it on video, and there's a couple of bucks at the same time working that one. Pretty wild.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring something up here, and I want to see if you noticed anything. Um, so it's pretty much all right, guys. That portion of it will be deleted out because we had a technical difficulty here. Chris, we lost audio on Chris, and yeah, what a mess. So take two. We
Take
were talking
two.
about. I wanted to ask you a specific question to see if you have witnessed this.
Okay.
So it's pretty much a fact that most scraping activity takes action at nighttime.
Okay.
Actual scrapes where they're scraping the ground. Now, I can agree to some of that. I've seen a lot of scrapes during the daytime,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm seeing now is daylight activity of licking branches,
Yeah.
not so much of daytime activity of that physically scraping the ground, but I'm seeing tons of daylight activity of them checking licking branches. They're not scraping, but they're checking the licking branches.
Yeah.
Have you seen this same actions
Oh,
over the years?
for sure.
Okay.
I start my mock scrapes in May and June,
Right. But I'm
and
saying in the month of
but
October, they're daylighting, hitting
oh
breaking ground.
yeah, oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was getting ready to say I start those mock scrapes way back when,
Yeah.
and they start communicating then, you
Yep.
know, and now all they're doing is stepping it up,
Yeah.
you know. Now they're saying, "Hey, party over here,"
Right.
you
I
know.
bring it up because I'll get messages this time of year a lot on Facebook and stuff where it's like, oh, or I'll just see like comments or something. They're like, oh, all my scrapes and stuff are, they're hitting them at nighttime. My trail camera's showing it at nighttime. And, what if somebody is only seeing, these scrapes and stuff at nighttime, what what would you say is the reason why? I have a few things on why, but what would you say why?
I think I think the majority of the scrapes that people find are in areas that they frequent, the people. So the deer know that people are there and they're only going to hit it nocturnally.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. Now, if you find one in a deep setting of the woods somewhere, you're going to probably catch them daylighting on that scrape at some point if you
Hmm.
surprise them.
Yeah.
But I think the people that are watching scrapes are either man-made mocks or they just happen to find one on a logging road or something, and they're not going to come in there and expose themselves in the daylight. um, those ones I was just talking about that I found, they're like I said, they're actually on a gas well road. I don't expect to see too much daylight action on those scrapes, but when I collected the SD card last week, it was like 50-50. They were daylighting 50% of the time, which I was very surprised by because that is a very exposed area to a road. You can drive by that Gaswell Road and look down it and see that monster scrape. So I'm very surprised that they're they're hitting that scrape during the daytime.
Hmm.
And not like I said, not only one at a time either. They're obviously they were still in a bachelor group and they was all working this tree at the same time. They had 4 scrapes underneath this tree. It was just all these hanging branches under a pine tree, and they had actually 4 scrapes worked out underneath that tree.
Right.
And then they turned around on the road, on the other opposite side of the road, and they made this big rub on this little pine tree. It was like 4 foot tall, and they made a scrape under it. Just sat there and pawed away at the dirt right there at the rub. Which, I mean, that's the kind of action you're going to start seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, most, a lot of times when if these guys are seeing, these scrapes at nighttime on their cameras, I would say they're probably just looking at the wrong scrapes. Like they're like you said, they're in a high pressure,
Yeah.
travel area.
Yep.
That a buck, mature buck's not going to come to a wide open field
Right.
and make a scrape with high traffic, a high traffic area. They may do that on the edge of the fields at nighttime and stuff. Um, the ones back in the timber, closer to a bedding area, those are going to be probably during the daylight most times.
Yeah.
Say a deer, a buck or something's out feeding all night long, he may travel through a travel corridor or something and then hit that scrape before he goes back to bed, something like that. But most of mine on private land, the scrapes, I have mock scrapes set up on just a main deer trail, and that actually runs parallel with the food plots down on this little bench that runs parallel with the food plot, and then there's trails that cut up to the plot. But I have other ones that's deeper back into the timber, closer to that ridgetop, bedding area that I cut in a couple years ago. Those scrapes are also hit during the daylight as well. But I feel like a lot of times too, if people are only seeing these scrapes hit at nighttime, I'm blaming it on the camera because there's these cell cams and stuff, any cam for that matter, you know, with the red light and stuff, and if you got that thing looking right at a scrape, especially if you're looking down the trail where a deer is walking straight to that camera, then that red light illuminates infrared. They see that, man. It spooks them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I kind of don't have that issue because I use the spy high mounts and I'm way above them.
Well, yeah, these are cameras that's just 3, 4, 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
When you hang them higher, that I think it increases your chances of it not being detected.
right.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of variables. Most of the time though, it's hard to find an area that's not pressured. I mean, even on private land, people overuse the property, four
Yeah,
wheelers, and it's very hard to find a a hunting property with no pressure. So
yeah,
you get those special properties where they're isolated, and the hunters are playing it smart and stuff, and they're not, just randomly walking through the woods. Those properties are going to have more daylight activity than properties that are pressured. I mean, that's just a
for
fact.
sure. Yeah, and the closer we get to Halloween week here
Yeah.
is when you're gonna see some great action start to really happen there.
Yep.
And if you're gonna use urine, make sure it's fresh.
Right. Yeah.
Don't be using spoiled out dark urine at that point in time. Use the freshest you can find, but
Raw.
raw frozen scents. But I mean, I I concentrate more on the licking branch, preorbital forehead on the licking branch.
Yeah.
They really like to communicate that way. Uh, I don't think I don't think you can mess a scrape up too bad by doing stuff with the licking branch unless you're putting the wrong stuff up there.
Right.
I'm not a believer in spraying deer urine up in the licking branch.
Hmm.
I know there's guys that try to explain that and say that's what they have reasons why they do that. I don't think there's a good reason for it, to be
Right.
honest, because a
Yeah.
deer doesn't urinate 5 feet in the air.
Right. Right.
So that's a pet peeve of mine when I see people making mock scrapes.
Yeah.
The other pet peeve I have is when you're advertising for a urine company and you're showing nothing but you're sending them pictures of something rubbing its antlers in the licking branch.
Hmm.
Well, what's that proving? That ain't proving nothing. The urine's on the ground. You got to
Right.
be sending them pictures with the deer with the nose to the ground. That was one of my pet peeves with one of the companies that I just left. You know, all the guys were sending pictures to the guys at home base saying, "Oh, look at my scrapes. They're on fire. I'm using this urine, and look what they're doing to these scrapes." Well, all the pictures were head up into the branches, and I said to the guys, the owners of the company, I say, they're not they're not doing you any justice. They're not proving that your urine works because someone, these deer are hitting the licking branch. They're not even giving you pictures of the deer with the nose down. They're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I never thought of that." I said, "Well, you better start thinking about that because your company's not going to prosper if that's the way you're going to work."
Right. Yeah.
So, I'm careful that when I send companies pictures with urine, I send them nose down to the ground pictures. I don't
Right.
send them something working a licking branch. That's just dumb.
Right. So we're live recording this podcast. Zach just walked in. Zach's here. So Zach
He's
gets to
bitter.
say he gets to say hi on the live podcast.
Sika stamps, $200.
Sika stamp, $200.
That's
He's
terrible.
bitter. He is bitter.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Yeah, you should have let me know.
Yeah. See, I told you should have let him know.
Should have let me know, man.
I
That's all
did
right.
know that. I did actually know that.
Yeah. Well, now we know. So
Yeah, I thought that lady was crazy.
yeah.
I'm like, $200. You better refresh that page, man.
Yep.
200.
But yeah, we're going Sika hunting tomorrow, and
Yeah.
hopefully Shoot a stag. We're going. What we have to do is we have to shoot a bigger stag than Chris shot last year.
Because it was $200 for both shooting bigger stags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. You can be number 12 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see.
Yep.
Don't go getting a number 1 now.
Right.
We might, man. We might.
It's possible.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap up this podcast and we'll see everybody on number 96.
Yep. Hopefully it's a stag podcast.
Yep. The next podcast will be all about this hunt.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys later.